Hey, how's it going? My name is Sean Gomez, and I'm one of the professional boxers slash assistant trainers here at the Astro Boxing Club. And I would like to explain a lot of the stuff that I do and a lot of the videos that I have because I don't have much explanation. So let me go ahead and start off with this right here. The first one that I want to start with is I call it the 1 and 2. The reason it's 1 and 2 is that the front foot, the lead foot, if you think in an aspect of a clock, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the front foot is always facing at 1 o'clock. Well, when you're starting off, always in starting off. The rear foot is going to be slightly at 2 o'clock. So they're not going to be at the same lengths. The front one's going to be at 1, the rear's going to be at 2, and they're going to be at least shoulder width apart. And when you're doing your stances, you're bending your knees slightly, and you're pressing your toes into the ground. The reason you're pressing your toes into the ground is because if you have to choose between more forward and more rear, you want to be a little bit more forward. Of course, you always want to be centered, but you'd rather be more forward than more rear. Why? Because when you punch a guy and you're more forward, you add power to that punch or strike or whatever you want to call it. So that's the stances, right? And now that we know the stances, now I go into a thing called the points of the body. This is the points in my shoulder. The first 2 points is my lead point and my rear point. The hip, the elbow points right here. The hands, obviously. The hips, the knees, and then the heels, right? Now that I have the points there, when I set for my punches, I set in my stance, I now have poles. Because when all these points are pretty much divided to each other, the elbow to this point, this point to that point, this hand over this foot, and the same thing here, right? So these are the poles. This is the lead pole. This is the center line, which is considered a pole, which center line runs straight up and down. And then you have the rear pole. The rear pole is set like this. So you want to have all the coordinated parts of your body together. The next thing is I like to say is that the feet, the way that your feet is facing does matter. So this is at 1 and this is at 2, right? So we're at 1 and 2, right? That was 3, this is 4, 5, and 6. So you're 1 and 2, right? And now all of a sudden I'm standing here, and I'm like this, right? Where everything is aligned, right? So so this is the way I'm standing, right? So everything is aligned. So what I want to do is if I change this foot, where this foot is pointing, if I change this slightly, and this is at 1 o'clock, and I change it to 12, pay attention to my front portion of my body as I change the foot. Right? Now the foot's at 12. What does that do? Opens me up into a square. It gives more of my center line to come outwards. So now that my point and aim figure with the front pole is facing away from the opponent's here, my center line is right here. By being 12 and 2, I just open myself up. So I go back here to 1 and 2. So now I'm 1 and 2, but then I make this 2 and 2. A lot of guys that are boxing, sometimes they think you have your feet pointing the same direction, which is not true. 2 and 2, I'm like this. What does this do? I'm here, and then I turn over here. Opens me up for a right hand counter. My feet are facing the same direction, and I'm coming at a guy like this. I'm going to get hit smack right here, right in the face, right? So I go back to 1 and 2. Now I do the rear. The same thing with the rear. If I come in at 1, and I come in at 1. Now I'm at 1, I'm basically at 1 and 1. So now it opens me up a little bit more here. That brings this portion here out. 1 and 12 is definitely not the area to be. So now we're doing 1 and 3. 1 and 3, what this does really screws me up, because this puts me here. You know, now this foot is facing this way, this area is facing here. I'm facing facing here, my opponent's right here, so I'm really in a bad position. Same thing as if I make this lead foot through. This is only effective when you're throwing a jab to the body and turning it over so, like so. Right? It's never good to be throwing a regular punch and be in this position because you're facing over here. So again, that covers, you know, the areas of facing, the poles. And you got the sticks. This is the first stick. This is the second stick. And this, your body is the third stick. 3 sticks. When you punch, bam, the first stick lines with the second stick and the third stick to be stiff so that you land a hard punch. Right? Following through with all 3 sticks is very important. So that is why we do this. Now, the exercise I was showing you before, the wrist push-ups like this. When you do the push-ups like this, they build the muscles in the wrist. As they build the muscles in the wrist, they make you depend on hand wraps a little bit less. And the reason you want to practice these is because you don't always want to be dependent on something. You want to be dependent on nothing. So if you can build the power in your wrist, right, with this exercise, just as well as you're doing the knuckles, same aspect. You're going here, coming up, going down, coming up, going here, you're coming up, and eventually your knuckles build calluses inside of it, and you get used to it, and it doesn't affect you. And the last one is going to be the finger push-ups. And again, you're doing this, but you're zoom in, you zoom in. You're doing these, but as you can see, closer, as you can see, my palm or this portion of my hand is not touching the ground. And my thumbs are spread out completely. So now when I go down, I come back up. That's 1. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You feel this in the knuckles here. And once you develop your hands, after doing these for about like a week or so, you ball it, you take that painful ass fist that you just got, you ball it up, and you hit the bag without a hand wrap. The reason, because your hands are used to it now, you're developing a muscle memory inside your hands to react to the situation. So now that you got that there, you can punch with almost impunity. So that is my first video, explanatory video of the boxing so far.